Novo Nordisk stock has been crashing in recent days as the company made a flurry of recent announcements. The CEO was replaced, they found a new CEO, they revised their annual target for revenue and operating profit, they also revised their annual target for free cash flow, and they gave information as to the reasons why they had to revise those outlooks going forward. So I'm going to review the latest developments at the company and answer what's going on with Novo Nordisk stock. Let's take a look.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
Right, so in May, the company announced that Lars Hugo Jorgensen would step down from his role as CEO of Novo Nordisk by mutual agreement with the Novo Nordisk board. And then earlier today, which was July 29th, they announced that Lars will be succeeded by Mike Duster as president and CEO of Novo Nordisk. Mike has been executive vice president and head of international operations since 2015, and under his leadership over the past decade, the international operations segment has more than doubled sales and grown to an organization of nearly 20,000 employees, serving around 35 million patients. So a lot to digest there. Let me take it one step at a time. First of all, changing the CEO, especially a long-time CEO like Novo Nordisk is doing, is rarely a good thing, right? The CEO knows what's going on. A lot of the strategies that are being implemented right now were the ideas of the departing CEO. A lot of the team, a lot of the staff was loyal to this departing CEO or was hired by or working with or had feelings with this departing CEO. And so the change is rarely a good sign, unless, of course, the company is moving in a terrible direction. And then when the CEO is changed, it can be a positive catalyst. But usually, in most cases, changing the CEO creates volatility, creates uncertainty, creates an increase in risk. However, if you are going to change a CEO, it's good to see that the CEO is coming from inside of the organization, from someone who's been with the organization for almost a decade and has demonstrated excellent performance within the organization, handling a segment and increasing and improving the segment under his leadership for this previous decade. So that was a good sign. So as CEO, Mike will be focused on strengthening the company's global leadership in diabetes and obesity, enhancing commercial execution, and driving greater efficiency across the company. So my thoughts about this strategy going forward, it's still too early to tell where this new CEO will take the company. Usually it takes some time for the incoming CEO to get a handle on things, to evaluate the situation and see where the CEO can add value, where the CEO sees an opportunity. So this will take some time, usually less than a year, usually around 6 months from my experience is how long it takes for an incoming CEO to assess the situation and then create a strategy moving forward. So I'm looking forward to in about 6 months, hopefully sooner, hopefully not later, hearing from the new CEO, what opportunities he sees and how he plans to address the company's challenges. And the biggest opportunities are in the diabetes and obesity market, where Novo Nordisk has two highly competitive treatments that are under threat right now from both sides, from compounders, which offer lower prices to consumers, and from one of its biggest rivals, Eli Lilly, which has, in my opinion, better offerings in this segment and is gaining market share in this segment. So in addition to the announcement of a new CEO, they also updated on performance and expectations going forward. In the first 6 months of 2025, Novo Nordisk sales increased by 18% and operating profit increased by 29%. However, looking ahead, Novo Nordisk expects worsening performance. They lowered their full-year outlook for 2025 compared to the outlook they provided in May. And for 2025, the range for sales growth is now expected to be 8% to 14%, so a much lower outlook. Now, I will say, in my experience in evaluating companies, when there is a change in leadership, there's also a change in outlook. Usually happens in conjunction with the change in leadership. Near term performance usually suffers in terms of profitability, revenue, all usually suffer, and stock price usually initially declines. Um, that's because uh, an incoming CEO usually likes to uh, clean house, throw away all these policies from the previous CEO, usually likes to get those out of the way before his days begin. And then that way he can start on a fresh slate. And then, over 5 years, when he looks back on his performance, he can say, look, my performance was really good because ever since I started on this certain day until this day, the stock price has improved by this much, the revenue has improved by this much, the profit has improved by this much. So it helps the incoming CEO to lower the performance in the days following, or if there's a transition period, to lower the performance, get everything that could be negative out of the way initially, and then outperform going forward. And that way he can take credit for the outperformance at the company. So this is very common. I've seen this multiple times with the companies that I follow, where a new incoming CEO changes things dramatically, causes the stock price to fall usually, and then performance over time improves, or if in some cases performance continues to get worse, and then that CEO will likely be replaced again, and then a new CEO will come in and take his place. Peloton is a good example of that, where they transitioned between a couple of CEOs in a short period of time before performance started to improve. So there's a lot of changes going on now. This is why I say it's usually negative for investors when there is a transition at the top. Guidance is changed, outlook is changed, strategy is changed. Some of the leadership team, in addition to the CEO, is changed. Sometimes the CFO will also be replaced. And so it's creating a lot of volatility, and the share price is declining as a result of that. By the way, this transcript that was held as a result of the meeting the company had with Wall Street on July 29th, I'm making available to my channel members. You can see this in the file directory. If you go to your membership benefits section on YouTube, you can see the file that has access to not only this conference call transcript, but dozens more conference call transcripts. If you're not a member, you can see in the description how to join, how to be a part of the community. And this is just one of the many benefits you get for joining our community. Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.